86 Charles is brought to you by Amazon. Go to 86charles.com and click on the Amazon link. Amazon is the perfect place to start prepping for the end, now that the Donald is president. The apocalypse is nigh.
You develop an instant global consciousness, a people orientation, an intense dissatisfaction with the state of the world, and a compulsion to do something about it. From out there on the moon, international politics looks so petty. You want to grab a politician by the scruff of the neck and drag him 250,000 miles out and say, "Look at that, you son of a bitch." That's a quote from Edgar Mitchell from the Apollo 14.
Hi, this is Charles. You are full of bullshit, my friend. I will sue you for everything you have. I will sue your ass.
Welcome to 86 Charles, with your hosts John Darby and Travis Spencer.
And with that, welcome to 86 Charles. Travis Spencer, hello, sir.
John Derby, good to hear your beautiful voice. It's been too long.
Oh, it's always too long.
Let's talk overview effect, John. Why are we talking overview effect?
Well, I'll tell you, it started off with that quote, because the very last line of that quote, the "Look at that, you son of a bitch," was launched into space by a weather balloon as a sign of protest for our current president.
Because he's cutting like space and all kinds of important budgets?
Yes, it ties in directly to funds that he's cutting for the ASAN.
Because he's a monster, because he's a piece of crap?
Yeah. That's probably the short version of that, yeah.
John, I get what you're saying, and this is all fine and dandy, but isn't it a lie? Me and Kyrie Irving and the whole internet will tell you that the world is flat. I don't even believe it. Like, how can you look at space? How can you go to space and look at a round Earth when the world's flat? It's impossible.
And that's how we know for a fact the Earth is not flat, because we've seen it from space.
That's the first.
I want to read you the actual definition for the overview effect, though.
Yes, let's hear it.
Because the quote is actually what brought this. I've never actually heard this as a term before, but it makes perfect sense. So the overview effect is a cognitive shift in awareness reported by some astronauts and cosmonauts during spaceflight, often while viewing the Earth from orbit or from the lunar surface. So it's essentially your perception changes as you see the Earth from space.
I would hope so. Like, just to see how fragile the whole world that we take for granted is, just this little bulb in space and the vastness of darkness around it. Like, it's awesomely terrifying.
I think that's what it really is I think once you see what it looks like from that far away and how small it really kind of is compared to what is out there, I think it makes you appreciate who's on it with you a little bit differently. And as much as, I mean, I don't feel connected to people all over the world necessarily, because I feel like someone in India is a world away from me by perception. But when you see how small the world really is, I think that's where that change in perception comes from.
Well, yeah, that, and how many planets and stars and galaxies have we found, and we haven't found another life being in all of those billions of planets? There's obviously a pretty large possibly that there is something out there.
And obviously we've only scratched the surface at this point.
Right, but if we can see that there's just these numbers and where it's like, oh, it's just us? Like, why are we fighting over this stupid shit constantly?
Right.
Why are we bickering over nonsense? It's like,
the fact that we exist is actually really special, and and I'm as guilty as anybody. We forget that, and we get so concerned with all of our little things and our small little lives and our small little worlds, and we can't see the forest for the trees.
Well, I mean, as me and the other Jesse are going to do as soon as it's reality, like, everybody needs to go to space. Maybe that'll put an end to this flat earther bullshit, Like, get woke. Like, really get woke, motherfuckers. Go to space and look at the actual Earth, and it's round. Oh, my God, it's a globe. It's called a globe for a reason.
I like the idea of possibly being able to now the problem is the people that need that perception shift the most will seek it the least.
Right.
There's not a chance in hell you're going to get Donald Trump in a spaceship.
We don't need to get him in a spaceship.
Ever.
We just need to get him 5 grams of mushrooms.
I would take that.
Oh, man.
If we could get a petition started, I think that way wouldn't hurt.
Drugs are bad. Okay. No, this is a really beautiful thing. I can only imagine. How you're just blown away. You probably shit yourself a little bit, a little dribble going down your leg. But in space, actually, if you poop yourself, it doesn't drip down your leg, does it?
Right.
Wow. It just floats kind of in
floats.
the air. So it's in your suit, just floating around with you. But you're looking down and you're like, everything changes, right? Everything changes. Maybe we can recreate it in VR and just get all these woke people. Stay woke, kids. Watch this VR set where you're flying out and you turn around and you see, oh, look, the Earth is real and it's round. Wow.
I will say though, no, I never knew that there was an entire concept of what it's like to see the Earth from space. How profound that is for some people.
Do we have any idea of like the number of people who have actually seen it with their own eyes?
All I know is that he was from the quote, he was the 6th person that walked on the moon. So the quote that came from Edgar Mitchell, he is the 6th person to have walked on the moon.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy to think how far we
that's about the
got.
only thing I have in terms of that. In terms of number of people that have seen the Earth from space,
Yeah, you'd have to
don't know.
Go to yeah, that's a different. I'm sure we could Google it and find it, but that sounds like too much work right now.
It's still you're still in pretty rare company. I still think.
Right.
Even for as many as it probably is, you're still in pretty rare company.
You're
I would
probably
imagine.
talking 100 or a couple of hundred max. It's
Yeah.
bizarre to me how far we got early in space travel and of late because of budgetary.
You would think globally we might be in the thousands though, because we're not the only space program in the world.
Right. But even then,
So you would think globally it's probably in the thousands of people.
But who else has
But
launched?
when you're talking about thousands of people compared to billions,
but it's like
you're
the Russians,
still in pretty rare company.
The Russians and maybe the Chinese. That's really it. Who's really launched anything to space, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But you figure it's probably over all the time, a few hundred from each. Like you're in the thousands, maybe.
I'm gonna say
1,000.
a couple hundred. John, I have big news. All of the music on this episode is from one Kenneth James Gibson, his solo work, and from his band Bell Gardens. Big shout out to Kenneth J. Gibson. All the links for the songs where you can find Mr. Gibson will be on the website on the episode. And I don't think we could possibly have a better theme for his sound, man. It's all about space.
Kenneth J. Gibson. Thank you so much for the songs, and welcome to the 86 Charles family.
It's good to have a Ken here. We haven't had a Ken yet, have we?
I don't think so.
Man, really broadening our horizons.
And what was that band name one more time?
Bell Gardens is the band, and then
you go.
he's got solo work. He does ambient, he does techno. He is a musical genius. So enjoy the music on this episode. Hit the links, buy his albums, help us all out, and do it through Amazon. Oh yeah.
Heck yeah. I love it.
All right. Well, thank you to Mr. Edgar Mitchell, and let's go ahead and send some more protests to space, because Trump is kind of a sucker.
Let's have everyone work on their overview effect, you know?
Touch the space. Floating elation. Release the place. Emancipation.
X in the sunlight told me you were coming home. There's a moon rising behind us in a moment. The stars are a-come. What escapes our attention is what we should have known.
Once upon a midnight dreary, as I googled weekend weary, a strange website I came upon, known only as 86charles.com. I heard the voices of two men, one of them John, the other was Travis. He only said, to support these two fools known as Travis and John, one must go to 86charles.com. Once there, you simply click on the link. Shop as you would and do nothing more. 86charles.com gets a cut of the score.
Nah. Nickel, what? 5 topics currently trending. Travis, what you know about spiders?
I don't know, John. Why don't you tell me?
Well, they're looking to cover the earth, apparently. This incredible spider web covers an entire field, and it's creepy and beautiful at the same time. According to ABC News, there's a massive spider web covering a field in New Zealand. As the Sydney Morning Herald reports, the spider web of our nightmares 2.0, the initial honor belongs to a giant 40-foot tall web in Texas. This web spans an incredible 32 yards and resembles a group of shimmering waves. Taronga resident Tracy Maris filmed the monstrous spider web, which engulfs parts of the Gordon Spratt Reserve and Papamoa. Apparently, this expansive gathering of weave-happy arachnids is a result of recent flooding in the area. Of her encounter with the sprawling web, Maris told Storyful, "There was a bright glistening coming from the top of the mound, and it looked almost like the hill was sparkling, but we were unsure why. So my 10-year-old daughter and I raced up to look and were shocked to learn it was all spider web. Kind of yuck, but really beautiful at the same time. I was amazed being on top of the mound, seeing how far it stretched. We can almost imagine the beauty of casually sprinting into an open, shimmering field, only to find it's overflowing with spiders. So yeah, thousands of spiders. 32-yard web. Pretty crazy.
John, this is terrifying.
Kinda.
Like 32 yards?
32 yards.
What are they trying to catch? That's what I don't get.
Like one web.
What are they trying to catch? What's that big? Like, are they going after
Well,
humans?
they weren't
Are we
trying to
next?
catch anything. They were running from... Well, I don't know. You know what? I guess I wish the article was a little bit more in depth. Like, I wonder if they just all ended up there because of the flooding, and then they just made this big web.
Right. So they
or
just kept on going
if they were
edge to
leaving the
edge.
web as a result of them fleeing from the flooding.
I think big picture, John. I think they're going after something big.
Well,
I think they're trying to catch like an alien or Bigfoot or something crazy. Spiders they're next level geniuses.
do you think if Godzilla were real, we'd be able to trap him with a giant spider web?
No, John. You think a goddamn
Oh.
spider web's going to catch Godzilla? Get the hell out of
Well,
here.
that's why I asked. Apparently, it's not even up for debate.
There is no debate. How dare you even bring that up?
Sorry, that's on me.
I mean,
Well,
maybe
yeah.
Mothra. You could probably get Mothra in a stupid spider web, but you're not getting Godzilla.
Fair. I'll take that. That's
I can't even-
reasonable.
Like, why would you even ask that question? I've got to move on. I'm done with you.
Okay. Hey, I'm sorry. Very touchy subject.
Let's talk about something that matters, John. Elon Musk says that Tesla semi-truck is to debut in September, kicking the clean truck race into high gear. Tesla semi-truck unveil set for September. Team has done an amazing job, says Musk. Seriously, next level. He did not provide any details, including when the trucks would be available for purchase. The truck would add the ambitious production schedule underway at Palo Alto, California-based Tesla, which is also gearing up to build its widely anticipated Model 3. Musk previously had indicated that the semi-truck was coming and it would likely have some autonomous driving features now included in Tesla's passenger cars. Musk also tweeted Thursday that Tesla expects to unveil a pickup truck. In outlining the company's master plan, Musk said that heavy-duty trucks were among other types of electric vehicles needed in the marketplace, and Tesla expected to unveil the truck this year. The semi should deliver a substantial reduction to the cost of cargo transport while increasing safety and making it really fun to operate. Others are also working on to bring zero-emissions cargo trucks to the market, such as Mercedes-Benz and Urban E-Truck. John, do you know that this is the end of the American middle class as we know it? Do you know that
Why is that?
12% of the population are employed as truckers? These jobs are gone because of Elon Musk's semi. It'll probably
valid
save
point.
lives and energy. It's probably a great thing, but we're going to lose so many jobs.
Yeah, and I don't know what else you do if you're a truck driver. I don't know what else you move on to doing. Because if that works for trucks, I mean, that's going to work for everything. UPS, post office, everything.
Well, like, I guess the UPS thing, it's like drones. Even if there were cars, maybe
Right.
there's somebody in the car still walking to the house. Or is it going to be a drone that leaves the truck? Or is it just a drone, period? Or there's points
Right,
where they
could just
pick up
be a
from the
drone,
truck?
period.
Yeah, like, so the whole thing, I mean, but we're still a ways away from that. But the trucking
Yeah, no
thing,
truck drivers. That's
I could see that going fast. I mean, obviously, like, I'm sure his truck is going to be crazy expensive when he releases it, so not all companies are going to be able to buy him. But when they look at employing a human being as opposed to this autonomous thing, and it can drive more hours, because truckers have, like, hour limits, right? You can only drive so many hours a day, and then you have to get some sleep. Even meth head truckers,
right.
that's against the rules. Smoking meth and driving trucks is against the rules, bro.
Just popping greenies, man.
But yeah, the future just keeps creeping in on us, John.
Well, it's like, I mean, humans are, I hate to say obsolete, but are becoming obsolete. I was reading something the other day about how retail is absolutely just falling apart because of online ordering and things. So people that work in retail are losing jobs by the hundreds and by the thousands because of all the stores closing because everything's moved to online shopping. So
But
no truck
honestly,
drivers,
it's
no
the better way to
retail
shop.
workers.
Right? There's nothing worse than going to a store and some schmoozeball's trying to sell you some nonsense.
But they're talking
me
about
the
like
facts.
Payless shoe stores gone, J.C. Penney's gone,
I don't care. I don't want any of that crap.
Radio Shack's already gone.
You know why the internet's so great? Because you can research and find out exactly what you want, and they'll ship it to your house. You can try it on, and if it doesn't fit, you send it right back. Like,
Right,
I don't
but
want.
how do you employ all these people though?
We'll figure something out. It's better, like running in or become a bartender. That's all I got.
Don't say that, dude. We'll lose jobs.
Once a drone
Shut your mouth.
if a drone or a robot can be a better bartender than I am, then Godspeed, drone. Godspeed.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Do
Bring
not
it.
be good. If anybody's a better innkeeper than I am, good luck.
I'll be like
robots.
Paul Bunyan taking on the tree chopping machine.
I'm like Willie the groundskeeper. I'm just killing it.
Just
Man,
bring it on, drone. You ain't gonna outshake me.
working on my red beard. It's not coming in very well though.
Yeah, heck no.
All right, on to the next thing, John.
Moving on. Stay away from the humans, Elon Musk. Well, as I'm talking about humans becoming obsolete, maybe we'll get a little bounce back. Brain gains seen in elderly mice injected with human umbilical cord plasma. Plasma taken from human umbilical cords can rejuvenate old mice's brains and improve their memories, a new study suggests. Earlier studies have turned up youthful effects of young mice's blood on old mice. Human plasma, the new results suggest, confers similar benefits. The study also identifies a protein that's particularly important for the youthful effects. Identifying the exact components responsible for rejuvenating effects is important. That knowledge will bring scientists closer to understanding how old tissues can be rejuvenated, and having the precise compounds in hand means that scientists might have an easier time translating therapies to people. They caution that the benefits were in mice, not people, but there is good reason to be optimistic that some of these approaches will have similar effects on health span in people. Like people, as mice age, brain performance begins to slip. Compared with younger generations, elderly mice perform worse on some tests of learning and memory, taking longer to remember the location of an escape route out of a maze, for instance. Researchers suspect that these deficits come from age-related trouble in the hippocampus, a brain structure important for learning and memory. Every fourth day for 2 weeks, colleagues injected old mice with human plasma taken from umbilical cords, young adults, and elderly adults. The source of plasma infusion changed the behavior of genes in the hippocampus, the researchers found. Elderly mice that had received umbilical cord or young adult plasma showed gene behavior changes that go along with improved hippocampal functioning. And after infusions of human cord plasma, more hippocampus cells churned out a protein called CFOS, a marker of a busy brain that's known to decline with age. Elderly mice that received elderly human plasma showed no such changes. Can make your brain younger, dude.
John, that would be really great. Does it heal the damages of drugs and alcohol?
It might reverse some of the effects.
All right, I'm all in. Give me some.
Yeah, possibly.
Give me some umbilical juice.
This is encouraging, though, is it not?
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, why isn't just like stem cells, right? It's the same thing. It's like why isn't it just always happening? Like, why isn't the science allowed to progress because we know it's beneficial? Like, why? Same thing with weed. I bring it up every week. Why can't we study weed? Why can't we study the effects of mushrooms on the brain? Like, why is our government limiting what science can do? You know, it's like we're protecting the people based on old bullshit, science. Not even science, old bullshit ideology. That's it. It's ideology that's going nowhere, and it's holding back what we can actually do as a species, right?
Well, I will say that I'm glad that there are certain restrictions and guidelines within science. I don't think you just come up with an idea and start testing on humans. I don't think that that's the way to do it.
There's
7
7
billion so I'm glad that there is definitely
on
a
this
structure
planet,
in place.
John. 7 billion people. There's a couple we can experiment on, like experiment on prisoners. Those
Hey, if we get to
assholes.
handpick who we experiment on, then maybe that's different.
Experiment on
But-
me. I need some advancements.
The government definitely needs to let science off the leash, though. Definitely needs to let it do and explore things and remove the religious aspect in any capacity, because I think that has a large part to do with why stem cells are treated the way that they're treated.
Right.
Or
They're
not studied.
Babies. They're stem cells. They're not babies.
But I think all of this stuff is encouraging, and I think eventually it will break through the government ceiling, because at some point stem cells or umbilical cord blood is going to save the life of some fat cat who's not going to be able to not deny anymore its benefit.
Like, I should be able to order umbilical shots from Amazon, where every morning I just take an umbilical shot. Boom. Start my morning off. Better than a smoothie. Better than a kale shake, John. Umbilical
I'd take
shots.
stem cells like vitamins if I could. I wouldn't care.
Yeah. I'll inject them everywhere. Whatever. Regenerate.
Sure.
Regenerate my liver. I'll do it
Heck
as I'm
yeah.
drinking. I'll put a couple droplets in my beer right now. It'll regenerate as I go. I will be
Like a stem cell car bomb.
Ooh, that sounds delicious. All right, John, let's keep it with science. Are you aware that there is a device that can literally read your mind, John?
Depends.
There's a device that can read people's minds by detecting their brainwaves. It's been developed at a breakthrough that could eventually enable people with locked-in syndrome to communicate. The system was only partially effective, with a 90% success rate when trying to recognize numbers from 0 to 9 and a 61% rate for single syllables in Japanese. Nonetheless, a statement about the research issued by Toyohashi University of Technology in Japan said it showed that an effective device to read people's thoughts and relay them to others was possible in the near future. They even suggested that an easily operated device with a smartphone app could be ready in just 5 years. It's an electroencephalogram, EEG, was used to monitor people's brainwaves while they spoke. The brainwaves were then matched to the syllables and numbers using machine learning, a process used to develop artificial intelligence. Yeah, the big thing is here, John, in 5 years, we might have an app that can literally read your mind. You put 2 little tabs on your temples, and it says, "Oh, what do you want next?"
Okay, can I read the definition for locked-in syndrome? Because I've never heard that before.
Yeah, please do.
So for people that don't know what it is, locked-in syndrome, or LIS, is a condition in which a patient is aware but cannot move or communicate verbally due to complete paralysis of nearly all voluntary muscles in the body except for the eyes.
Oof.
That's pretty you're fully aware, fully conscious, but you
yeah,
cannot move anything but your eyeballs.
Which is that's different than our boy Space Hawk, right?
Oh, for sure. Much different.
Yeah.
Much different. So based on that, because learning what that is actually changes my opinion of what this is. Because at first I thought this was just, they're just trying to read people's minds so that they have a better way to advertise Coca-Cola to us. But
yes,
if it's for something like this to communicate with people that are in, for example, locked-in syndrome, I think that's actually very useful.
Well, I think it'll start off in the best hands, and scientists will be like, we're doing it to help people out. And then once it gets to market, after it's a device that people can use, you're exactly right. That's who is going to buy it. It's going to be advertisers.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll be bastardized, but...
Right. I mean, Amazon
seeing that it wasn't created for that makes it more positive for me.
Right. You at least has a good backbone to it, right? Like,
yeah, it's at least starting off in the right way.
It's helping people. But of course it's going to be led to that. Like, that's...
Yeah, no, of course. But but it's interesting that this could be the beginning of mind-reading technology.
It's pretty crazy. 90% numbers, like, that just means they're onto it, and it's just going to get better and better.
Oh, for sure. And it's, I mean, when you think about if we're all walking around reading each other's minds, that's not going to go well. We don't like each other now, and we keep all of those thoughts, or a chunk of those thoughts private.
All right.
Can you imagine if you just knew what everyone was thinking all the time?
But might it also be a great, amazing thing? Like if you suddenly know that everybody's reading your mind all the time?
Eventually, yes.
Right. The
Initially,
crossover,
I think it's going to be all-out war.
Yeah, totally. I just wish, I hope it happens that like somebody gets it before Trump's out of office. So he just gets, let's not say we want him offed or anything crazy like that on this show. But it would be hilarious if somebody got the technology and we could know what he's thinking before he says it.
I mean, I think we've got a pretty good idea of what he's thinking.
Steaks. I want my name on that building. I want that building. I got to play golf on Tuesday.
Hate, hair, Cheeto, hate, hair, Cheeto.
All right, let's move on.
All right, last story. This is expressly for our number one listener, Rick. Rick, have you seen Korn's 12-year-old bassist? The new 12-year-old bassist for Korn made his debut with the band on Monday for their Bogota show. Ty Trujillo's new gig for Korn is only temporary. It'll last until May 6th, but it's still a pretty amazing role for a preteen. A new video shows Trujillo focusing and rocking out with ease as if he's used to playing in front of thousands of people. Trujillo is subbing in for Korn's current bassist, Reginald Fieldy Arvizu, who had to skip out on the South American leg of the tour, but fans probably won't be too disappointed to see the talented young musician shredding on the bass. Concert goers who also love Metallica will be excited too, as Trujillo is the son of Robert Trujillo, bassist for Metallica. So, Korn's rocking out with a 12-year-old.
12 years old, John. That's insane.
That's amazing. Can you imagine? Like, playing one gig like that at 12 years old would rock your world. Playing like the South American leg of a tour with one of the prominent metal bands.
What's 12
in
like
our country?
7th grade, maybe. Is that right?
I mean, 12. That's like 6th or 7th grade.
Oh man,
That's maybe junior high.
I couldn't like 7th grade. I was like playing B team soccer. Like, oh
Yeah, I was.
To
I was
be
gonna say
touring with-
at 12. I was in 6th grade.
well, more power
That's
to this
crazy.
kid. I want to see.
Heck yeah.
I hope he can hang. I mean, I'm not a big Korn fan. I gotta say, sorry, Rick.
Used to be. I used to be.
What happened?
I mean, I still enjoy their first 4 albums. I think first 4 albums. But anything after that, I kind of fell off.
But Rick's diehard, huh? It's all.
Oh,
in.
Rick's still into it. Still into it.
Are they still making new music, or are they just playing old?
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah,
I was
they're
gonna say
still
they
at it.
just had an album come out not too long ago.
Wow. Well, this 12-year-old kid is rocking it. This 12-year-old
Heck
kid.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of. I wish he was just like a nobody. Kind of sucks. He's the Metallica kid.
Well, but that explains. Like, you would also have to question. It's like, oh well, what kind of parent would let their kid go do that? And it's like, well, his dad plays for Metallica, so that makes a lot more sense.
Probably got a tutor on the road with him, and he's they'll be all right.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out. But I mean, are Korn heads and Metallica heads cool?
I was gonna say, do you think that there's a groupie for a 12-year? Like, he's
Oh,
got to
yeah.
be getting some attention.
Oh yeah, he's got a clan. He's got like 16-year-olds looking at him. Like
That's
it's
what
bad-
I
it's
had
bad
the exact
news.
same number in my head. I was like, there's got to be some 16-year-old that's rolling up like, hey.
It's kind of bad news for this kid. He's in trouble,
Or that's kind of amazing news for this kid.
Well, yeah, but he's 12. Like, let him just like he's a virtuoso. He needs to focus on the bass, not on the ladies.
Dude,
like,
he's
what if he
already
starts
learning
doing
the most important part of rock and roll, which is
What if he
getting
starts
chicks.
doing blow off 16-year-olds? Like, it's all over, bro. It's all over.
Or it's just beginning.
I'm sure we've got a heavy rock track coming up right now from Kenneth James Gibson.
That's pretty dope, though, man. I couldn't do anything that well at 12.
Yeah, shout out to this kid. Good job. It's nice that you had a rich bassist daddy. That helps. But I'm not gonna hate. Nothing but respect.
But dude, it's hard to imagine that guy didn't work his butt off to become the bassist for Metallica.
Of course, yeah. Well, and it's not the kid had to bust his ass too to become that good. That's all there is.
Of course,
to it.
Korn's
Good for
not going to
him.
let you play a leg of their tour if you can't play.
We'll see. We'll wait for the feedback from Rick because he follows them all over the world, right? Because he doesn't work. His wife is like the breadwinner, right? Rick doesn't do anything but watch the kids, so now he can follow him on tour.
Wow, that's a really harsh view of Rick's life.
Burn! Love you, Rick. Just talking shit.
Yes, he does. He does take care of the kids primarily, but he also, I think he goes to school. He's got other things he does. He has other engagements he's required.
You're saying he can't just follow Korn all around the world?
No, he's got a little more going on in his life than Korn's tour.
Figure it out, Rick. Go follow Korn. I want to get a full report on the 12-year-old. That's your next assignment. We won't hear from you until then. Thank you.
I don't think Rick takes his assignments as seriously as we'd like.
I'm probably going to get some anthrax in the mail after that.
Well, I wouldn't tell him not to. You might deserve it.
Might have earned that one. Shout
It'd
out to Rick.
It'd probably be the band Anthrax because Rick likes metal.
There you go. I'll get a. Well, if you're gonna send it, Rick, send it in vinyl, please.
Are they coming to take you away? Are they coming to take you away? I think it's time we lost our way.
from last week.
Hello, folks.
First of all, thank you, Travis, for the Prom Losers shout out. You can find our stuff, sketch comedy, on the internet. It's on Instagram at The Prom Losers. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I urge you to do so because friend of the show, Jordan Crabb, is obsessed with the validation that comes along with that. I definitely don't need the validation. Jordan does. So for his sake, check out our stuff. Anyway, I'm a little bit confused because there were two really positive science stories. One about spinach potentially helping humans on a cellular level, and another on high school kids discovering how to recover from what's basically brain damage. And Travis was down on both. The first because the government is preventing them from doing what is, in his mind, the real research. And the second because the government will ultimately prevent these kids from doing what, in his mind, is the real research. Then there was a third science story about sex robots. And Travis was entirely positive about it. So I guess I'm not sure anymore what the threshold is for good science. And why hasn't the condom lobby gotten in the way of these sex robot manufacturers? They have the most to lose. I'd say it's great that they're so close to finishing these sex robots, but what's the point if the sex robots aren't enlightened to the health benefits of weed? Am I right? This is Jesse, and reevaluating what is good science was my favorite part of last week's podcast.
It's time for the Facebook World News Update. This Real to Someone News Update is brought to you by The Overview Effect, changing rich people's perspective by dragging their ass to space. A woman in Westmont said, "They got the game f***ed up. She might have to slap a bitch in the early AM." A woman in Los Angeles said, "Seriously, he is the most amazing man. I get home from work feeling sick. He gets home from work and sees that I'm sick and goes back out to get me soup. God damn, I love him so much. Words can't describe how blessed I am. Hashtag it's the little things. Hashtag soulmate."
From the CBS News Space Center in New York, correspondent Walter Cronkite.
Good evening. Apollo 8 is in its 9th and next to last full orbit of the moon.
Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke, stay woke, stay woke.
It's now approaching lunar sunrise, and for all the people back on Earth, the crew of Apollo 8 has a message that we would like to send to you.
Stay woke, get woke, the earth is stay woke, get woke.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
Stay woke, get woke, the earth is flat. Stay woke, get woke, the earth is flat.
My job as lunar module pilot was to be responsible for the lunar module itself and responsible for the science on the moon. So when we started home, I had a little more time to look out the window than the other guys because most of my responsibilities were completed.
Stay woke, get woke, the earth is flat. Stay woke, get woke, the earth is flat.
We were in a particular mode called the barbecue mode. So we were flying like this and rotating like that. What that caused to happen was every 2 minutes, a picture of the earth, the moon, the sun, and a 360-degree panorama of the heavens appeared in the spacecraft window.
Stay woke, get woke, the earth is flat. Stay woke, get woke, the earth is flat.
And I had studied astronomy and I had studied cosmology and fully understood that the molecules in my body and the molecules in my partner's bodies and in the spacecraft had been prototyped in some ancient generation of stars. In other words, it was pretty obvious from those descriptions we're stardust.
Stay woke, get woke, the earth is flat. Stay woke, get woke, the earth is flat.
Well, that was pretty awesome and powerful, particularly since I had a little more time at this point to be reflective and to think about it.
Stay woke, get woke, the earth is flat. Stay woke, get woke, the earth is flat.
woman in Massachusetts said, "Is Snapchat still a thing? 'Cause stop." A man in Los Angeles said, "No matter what you have to endure in life, never let them take your smile. Have a blessed day." A man in California said, "If I'm complicit in domestic abuse and hyper-masculine violence by watching the Super Bowl, you are directly responsible for every person killed in Syria by paying taxes." This Real to Someone news update is brought to you by The Overview Effect, changing rich people's perspective by dragging their ass to space.
Dad's got notebooks. We don't know what's in her notebooks. She's gonna show us all her notebooks. Little yellow pad.
So I was about to say, I found the weirdest crap in a box the other day, but then I realized that's the whole premise of this segment. What was I thinking about and wrote down 1, 3, 5, 15 years ago, and you know, that's just like a weird box of crap. If the box were my head. No. Well, the metaphor's wrong. The box is the notebook, and the crap is what's in the notebook. I mean, not to belittle my deep thoughts and longings. It's just a metaphor. Whatever, it's not important. Listen, frequently I try to clean my desk in my office, and what I end up with is boxes full of crap. You probably do this too, right? So some of it gets filed, some of it gets thrown out, some of it just stays in boxes. Every time I try and categorize stuff into like, different categories, right? So there's personal versus work, whatever. And in the end, I end up with at least 1 to 40 boxes just like this, which is personal stuff all collected. And it was clearly stuff I had some intention of organizing later, and then I didn't. So this particular box is, it's not that interesting in terms of its contents as much as it is in its diversity. So, it's just a plain white banker's box. So full of a catch-all of crap. So there's like a thank you note for my friend's 3-year-old son, who's now 15, right? So now he's 3, he's very sweet, and now he's 15, and he's going to learn to drive. Except he's one of those kids, kids these days don't really want to learn how to drive. So I guess he's 15, and he's going to learn how to sit in the back of an autonomous driving car, which sounds horrible, because one of the most amazing things about being like 16 is being able to like drive really fast up the freeway in a convertible up the coast. Because if you're going to live in California, you should do that. God, now I'm kind of depressed. Anyway, forget it. Okay. Also, there's a nice yearly review from a boss of mine who was, subsequently fired. And then I've seen him on Facebook. There's bills, there's letters, and, doodles, of course, and notebooks. So not one, but several notebooks. So what this is a literal box of crap full of figurative boxes of crap. That's a callback to the beginning of the segment, people. Actually, it's not a literal box of crap. It's a literal box. The crap's not literal, so the crap is also figurative. But then it's a literal box full of figurative crap, which is made up of figurative boxes of figurative crap. Anyway, it's like a magical Harry Potter box, spilling all these previously secreted away thoughts back into the present. You know what it's like? A Horcrux, right? These notebooks are like Horcruxes. They're full of my souls. And this is a banker's box full of Horcruxes. So it's kind of like one giant Horcrux holding multiple Horcruxes. So it's like a Horcrux and a Horcrux and a Horcrux. It's like Inception, but with thoughts and dreams and aspirations and longings and creative things. And this is really too much for me to process. When I found this box, I was sick. I had just gotten back to Canada where I saw a band. I saw the Northern Lights. I did some dog sledding. I hung out with the Snow King. And then I got a really crappy cold. And it's like a few weeks later, and I'm still kind of sick. And sadly, I'm not engaged to the Snow King. So it doesn't look like I'm going to move to Canada soon, which was my goal, quite honestly. So I just have to stick this crap out with the rest of you a while longer. Actually, that use of the word crap is unrelated to the previous uses of the word crap, but it's all a big metaphor for what's going on in the world. Anyway, it's fine. I like you. It's okay that I didn't get engaged to the Snow King and move to Canada, because if I did, I don't know where in the world I would put all these boxes of figurative crap. I mean, Canada is a big place, though, so there's that. Anyway, I think maybe I should just go take a nap, and eventually I'll feel better. And I don't know what else to say. Have a good week. You know, the science march is this weekend. Science is really important, you know, and everyone's like, girls in STEM. And I'm a girl in STEM. And then I'm also a girl with boxes of crap. So I guess I'm just well-rounded. Anyway, I know I've just drifted off from my original point, but if you want to meet me at the Starbucks at 6th and Grand for the Science March, we can do that together. We can shout, "Go Science!" And maybe meet maybe there'll be some scientists from Canada. I'm going to have to think about that one. Anyway, have a good week. Tweet me if you want to meet me. Bye. Go Science.
I've brought bread
to men, women, and children.
I've brought water with lemon for the table.
I have hot tea.
Can I box that for you?
I'll bring your change.
What's the little person guy's name from Seinfeld?
Hey, why are you making fun of
Mickey. Yeah, so do you remember Mickey, the little person from Seinfeld?
Yes.
Okay, so I was working at the Howard Hughes Theater, and his girlfriend went and bought the tickets for him. And she said she needed 2 seats, but one for... She didn't say the word handicap, but she made it seem like some sort of special seating. And so I'm like, okay, so we actually had handicapped seats, but they weren't seats, they were empty spaces for wheelchairs. So we sold her those 2 tickets, the empty space for a wheelchair and a seat right next to it, because she said one person had a special needs or whatever. And so they go into the movie theater, and the seats, they have 1 seat and an empty spot, and they don't want it. So they take this is an assigned seat in the movie theater. They took the seats of 2 other people. And so I have my usher trying to tell him, I'm sorry, you don't have this. He goes, well, we're not going to move. And I'm like, and then there's, of course, a guy ready there to sit there, and he can't sit there. And so, I'm one of the managers, so I get called up, and I have to take care of it. And the previews are now playing. And he's like, and I remember when I was at the box office, and she had asked for these tickets. And so I'm like, she had asked for a special needs seat or whatever. And we sold that to you. You can't be sitting in this people. He goes, and essentially, Mickey, whatever his real name is, he said, I dare you to move me. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if I'm dragging a little person out of a movie theater, I'm the bad guy. Nobody else knows the side story.
He knows that.
Yes, and he knew that, and he played on that. And so I couldn't do anything. I gave the other guy a refund, gave him some free passes, and had him sit, unfortunately, near the screen or something like that. But he, the other guy made out, but I was pissed. And then a month later, while I'm working at the Guilds, the fucker shows up. Excuse my language. No, he shows up in the theater, and Joe calls and says, Mickey's here. I'm like, somebody kick his ass. I was so upset. But to make matters worse, so that night at the movie theater, of course, everybody then knew what had happened. And and actually Emal was working with me at the time at the movie theater. And all the managers are like, David, I must say, honestly, you were the bigger man. Or things like that. They would just tell each other, like, so I blew a gasket or whatever. But anyway, so, yeah, that's my Mickey the Midget story.
Mickey the Midget, see?
And that was David Kenwood making a triumphant return to the show. Welcome back, David.
Shout out to David.
I would say he's just a friend of Deb's, but I think he's a friend of all of ours now.
Yeah, once you're on 86 Charles twice, you become an official charter member in our friends list.
And I have met him in person now. So he's in the family.
Nice. I'm going to have to make a trip to LA to put faces to names, They're just beautiful voices
so
to me. Beautiful voices.
These people are more beautiful in person than they are on our fine airwaves.
Great story by Mr. David Kenwood. If you remember,
awesome.
He brought us the Boys in the Hood story, also a movie theater story. Shit goes down at movie theaters, man.
I would assume any job that deals with people, obviously things happen, but his movie theater stories are good. I didn't realize the movie theater was so happening.
Right. It seems pretty robotic, cut and dry from the outside. But I mean, obviously, stuff's going to happen in any job. How many crazy restaurant stories do we have?
Oh, of course. But he's got, man, that's and especially, you work in a Seinfeld character?
Yeah, you're on. Thank God it wasn't a...
that makes our wall of fame.
Yeah, and just for me, as long as it's not that show not to be named, it's fine. But especially Seinfeld. Seinfeld kills it. I love it.
That is my new goal, is to find somebody who's got a friend story.
Don't even say the word. Don't even say the word. Although we do have the most amazing...
Hey, I have to make 23 bleeps a show, all right? You can knock one out this time.
All right, well, I will bring you... I have the most amazing story from the show not to be named from one Chunky B, but we'll get to that later. Let's talk about Mickey, a.k.a. Danny Woodburn, in the theater, not getting dragged out like United Airlines. Well done, David Kenwood. Well done. You just...
And thanks to Deb for making that connection to tell me to use this story because of the United story.
Yeah,
But yes, wise decision.
Absolutely.
And we were actually talking. I think we talked about it off air. How United should have, instead of dragging somebody off a plane, just throw money at the situation. Yeah. Just buy somebody off with enough free tickets or free stuff to make it go away.
There's no way in hell that, a couple extra vouchers, or even if you get up to 5 or 6 free flights to get somebody off that plane civilly. Any video, everybody, especially now, I don't know, this probably happened a couple years ago at the movie theater, so maybe camera phones and everybody ready on the quick draw with their phone wouldn't have been the same. But either way, you cannot have that image go out of you dragging anybody out, let alone a little person, let alone Mickey from Seinfeld.
By the time he actually got him out of the front, TMZ would have been all over it.
Yeah. But yeah, those images of the United guy, it's so stupid. It's freaky. It's like, what is this? How is this possibly happening? How did they screw up so bad?
Even if somehow through that guy's behavior you were in the right to drag him off the plane, literally, no one's ever going to see it that way because it just doesn't look that way. There's not a way to explain those images to people that make sense.
I mean, if he's walked off with 2 people on each arm, sure. That's a little bit less, but when you're literally dragging somebody out, unbelievable.
Or if this man refuses to get off, if you can buy somebody else off of that plane, take the flight, let it go where it's going to go, and arrest him when he gets off the plane.
Yeah, if it becomes that big of a deal.
Because he's going to get off when he lands. If he refuses to be removed without being dragged, fine. Wait till he gets where he's going, and then wait, and once he's off the plane, arrest him.
Wasn't it United Airlines too that just didn't allow 2 teenagers on because they had leggings on or something stupid too? They're just, United's killing it. Great.
It might have been, yeah. I mean, the leggings thing happened, and I can't say for certain it was United, but It could be.
I'm just
true.
going to go ahead and say it's United. I'm not even going to check any facts.
Yeah, why not? Pile
Great.
on. No one's going to correct
United's
you.
just killing it. Maybe, you know what United needs to do? They need to go and hire David Kenwood as their new PR director.
Took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say they need to bring on David Kenwood, who can exercise some discretion.
Pay the man a ton of money. He knows not to drag people out of theaters, off planes. Just use your common sense, United. Unbelievable.
But can I ask you a question?
Of course.
And answer it with more thoughtfulness and sensitivity than Travis normally would.
This is going to be tough, but I'll try.
Now, did Mickey play on the fact that he's a little person? Or did he play on the fact that he was a celebrity with his make me? Or I would like to see you remove me, whatever he said.
Well,
which one? What was he treading on? Being a little person or being a celebrity?
I don't know if you ever watched the show, but he was kind of a hothead on the show. So I imagine that's part of his personality, which may be fed by both, obviously. So I'm just going to say his personality. And of course, like, you would have to be. I could only imagine being a little person, like, and people treating you a certain way.
Because he knows physically David could have removed him. That wasn't I mean, clearly physically he could have removed him. So it wasn't I'd like to see you try because I can beat you up sort of a thing.
Right, but it's the spectacle of, it's like the spectacle of getting pulled out of a theater is bad enough when it is a full-size person, and then they're...
But, I mean, whether you're dragging or you full-on pick up a little person, that is not a good look. No.
I definitely think he's playing on both. That and the celebrity of
That's
it.
fair.
And it's L.A.
Fair.
People recognize everybody, So I'm going to say both. I'm going to say he's playing on both.
I do like that you brought it back to the show, though, because, he really was he was definitely fiery on that show.
I wouldn't cross him, man. I would not cross Mickey.
It's true.
I love...
But he also lifts, so I don't know if I can trust him.
I love the coworkers busting David's balls, telling him he was the bigger man in this situation.
Yeah, that's good.
That's such a good line.
Yeah, that was good. And that's what good coworkers do.
Absolutely, that's what we're here for.
In fun of every single situation possible.
You gotta bust balls. Just bust balls. That's it. John, let's give a big shout out to David Kenwood for his second story on 86 Charles.
David, welcome back, sir. Always nice to hear your voice. And we have other stories, so we'll space them out a little bit. But yeah, we've got a handful of others.
More David Kenwood stories.
Yes,
nice.
we do.
Deb was killing it at that dinner party. Sounded like, where were they at? Were they at the Wood Ranch?
No, I'm not going to say where they were. I do know though.
Shout out to Deb, of course, our story collector, killing it as usual. Big thanks to Mr. Jesse McIntosh. Check out the Prom Losers. I think they put up a new video this week as well. John, who else we got to thank?
I don't know why it makes me uncomfortable to watch Jesse dance.
Yeah, that was a little strange. I thought when I saw him in the background, I was like, oh, good, he's just going to be walking by watching people dance. And then he started busting a move. I had to mute it.
Yeah,
I had to mute it for a second.
It was... I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think there's anything that would take the shine off of Jesse in my eyes.
He's beautiful. Love you, Jesse.
But I wish I had seen. I want to see him dance drunk at a wedding. That's how I really gauge people's ability to dance.
Oh, I have no doubt that Jesse McIntosh can cut a rug. He can kill it, I'm sure. He's got moves. I mean, Donald Sterling knows. Touched his abs. He knew that Jesse could move.
We've tangoed in my dreams. I know he can move.
Oh, shout out to Kenneth James Gibson. All the music on this episode was from his solo work and from his band Bell Gardens. You can check him out. I think Twitter, he's at Kenneth James Gibson. I'll put links up on the site. Please check him out. Help us out. Buy his work through Amazon.com. John, where can the people find us?
Hold on. Can I ask a favor of Kenneth James Gibson?
Of course.
He's obviously going to blow up before we do.
Sorry.
Can I just say, hey, maybe don't forget us? Maybe throw us a bone once you're huge?
He's already blown up. It's already blown up. He's already huge. You don't know.
He's blowing
toured the
up.
world twice. He's been
But
around
I
the
just
world
wanna say,
7 billion times. Something like that.
I'm sure, yeah.
Well, shout out.
I'm just saying, he's going to be huge before we are.
John, where can the people find us?
We appreciate the
I'm gonna
support.
ask you the question again. Where can the people find us?
They can find us at 86charles.com.
That's 86charles.com. And on the Twitters, the Instagrams, we're at Company Blaster. Drop us a line. Tell us what you think.
Anything. You could literally tell us anything.
And how can the people help us out, John?
Well, if you go to 86, not if, when you go to 86charles.com, you're going to notice there's Amazon links. So the next time you decide to go shop at Amazon, start at 86charles.com, click on one of those Amazon links, do what you normally do. You don't have to do anything different. Don't even think about us any further. And we're going to get a little, small little chunk.
A little scratch.
Whatever you're buying.
A little scratch.
Little scratch.
All right, John, it's everybody's favorite time of the week. Let's go ahead and 86 something. What you got?
Hold on one sec. I had to write it down, so I have to go retrieve the piece of paper. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, a professional at work.
Sound effects make for good radio. It's fine. Okay. So I'm going to try to make this not too long. So what I'm 86ing specifically are license plate frames. But like the vanity ones that say really stupid, awful things, and the two that in particular and drove me absolutely nuts. So this lady had one that said, and I saw it twice, twice in a row, 2 consecutive days. Blew my mind. So her license plate frame says, "All these princesses." That's on the top part. And then on the bottom it says, "But I'm the only queen."
Ugh, that's awful.
Really? To the point that I had to drive next to this person because I was like, who is this person? Like, who is this person that thinks this of themselves? Couldn't have been a more basic looking woman I've ever seen in my life.
Wish it was a drag queen. Then that would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome. If that's what okay, awesome. That would have been amazing. That would have made sense. But no, just some regular, like, mom.
Hey, man.
Looking lady. I don't know if she had kids, but she looked like a mom.
Don't hate on
And this is, oh, man. I wanted to crash into this car. So the top of the license plate frame says, "We can't, ... And the bottom of the license plate frame says, "Jordan has soccer." You let Jordan's soccer dictate your entire life? Your answer to everything is "we can't"? Jordan has soccer?
What if Jordan's really good? What if it's going
I
to the
don't
next
care.
level? What if he's playing?
You don't let a child dictate your life.
Oh, man. You are...
Or at least not their extracurricular activity. Maybe the child itself,
You
sure.
are a selfish, egomaniacal
We
man.
can't. Jordan has soccer.
John.
Hey, do you guys want to hang out? No, we can't. Jordan has soccer, and that's all we do. Jordan's soccer.
All right, this has gone on long enough. That's enough hatred for one day from an egomaniac.
Disgusting.
Thanks, America.
Disgusting.
The new boy in the neighborhood lives downstairs and it's understood. He's there just to take good care of me, like he's one of the family. Charles in charge of our days and our nights. Charles in charge of our wrongs and our rights. And I see